No, I can't. But I know pretty much word for word what it said. She said, so much for Jack Layton's legacy of civility in Parliament.
Right.
You know
like
what
that
I mean?
was the pinnacle of incivility in our Parliament. I mean, come on. There's a million other instances where the Conservatives deserve that attention.
No, I mean, here's the thing. You don't use the beloved Jack Layton's legacy to criticize the NDP, to criticize his friends, or as he would probably say, his NDP family. That to me was incredibly rude. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. And I took a deep breath afterwards, Tony, and I realized, look, I got a lot of friends that are Green Party supporters, and the one thing that I want Green Party supporters to know is, just because we're saying these things, I don't want it to be like I'm slamming the Green Party and claiming that they have no right to their policy and all the rest. If the Green Party really wants to improve its chances and fortunes for gaining more seats, because they need to remember that they just took the vast majority of all of their resources and dumped it on Elizabeth May to get her
and they don't
elected,
have those resources anymore. They don't have those resources anymore.
That's what I mean.
I honestly think that
per vote subsidy is gone now.
Yeah.
So ultimately, if they do want more seats in Parliament, the only real way that they can legitimately get them is by helping the Liberals and the NDP to beat Conservatives.
They're going to need friends.
And then have proportional representation has to be the goal.
I love it.
But that's
I love
the only way they're going to get more seats.
And now, unlike you, I took a deep breath after that and then lashed out at my Green Party friends.
I guess I kind of did in a way too. But I tried to, I'll explain in a second. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, whatever. I might have lost a couple of them, but you know what? Since the election, I've really kept. Since I've been pushing for cooperation, I haven't said a heck of a lot negative about the Green Party, even though in the past I have held the opinion that they really are servants of the Conservative agenda. You know what I mean?
By proxy,
they're not they're not a viable party with single digit support, and they've just won their first seat ever. It's not a viable party. They can't legitimately say.
Expect as far as cooperation to a Green Party voter, cooperation shouldn't mean you expect a Green Party candidate to be elected. Right. It means you need to get in line behind a Conservative behind a Conservative. Oops. I mean behind a Liberal or an NDP party, because, and you know what else, they can actually do this without too much worry, because you know what the big difference between all three of those opposition parties and the Conservatives are? All three of those opposition parties have environmental policies. Stephen Harper doesn't have environmental policies. So you can safely go and vote, Green Party supporters. You can go and vote for an NDP or a Liberal and know that you're still getting your green representation.
Yeah, there is an argument to be made for that, Mike. Agree, like a devout, loyal, as devout and loyal as you want to be to the Green Party, you can, by strategically voting, serve the Green Party's interests. Because if the Green Party is never part of a coalition government that is forged on a mutual promise to bring in proportional representation, there is no future for that party. None.
Exactly.
None.
I mean, it was a hard thing to say, but I had to point out to a Green Party friend that their highest support in any other riding other than Elizabeth May's riding is about 4,000 votes.
Yeah.
And I mean, they could say, oh, it's in a riding though where the population is low. And it's like, yeah, but guess what? That still put them as fourth place. Or no, wait, it did place them in third place in that circumstance.
Yeah.
Ahead of the NDP, and I believe it was the Yukon.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like I just can't. If things proceed according to the current trajectory with no inter-party cooperation, or at least respect, okay, I don't see in my lifetime the Green Party ever attaining official party status in Parliament, right? Because one seat does not even give you party status. I'm surprised that.
I just want to quickly correct myself because I just looked it up here while I was listening to you. In the Yukon, I was wrong. They don't have more than 4,000 votes. They are second place there. However, the Liberals have 5,290 votes to the Green Party's third place of 2,308 votes.
Right.
So even where they have the next best chance to win a seat, their support is at 2,300 people. And then their best showing elsewhere might be around 4,000 in a race where you need 18,000 votes.
So we absolutely agree then that the Green Party really doesn't have much of a hope in hell of winning any more seats even, really.
Not unless they decide to help defeat Stephen Harper and, and like other progressives, shoot for... After Stephen Harper is defeated, the first order of business between these progressive parties has to be to restructure the nature of our electoral system. It has to be done because, the one thing we need to all remember is the only party that has a huge bulwark built up that will always be there, that sets them on a plane above any of these other parties, is the Conservative Party. And unless we bring in voting reform or electoral reform, we're going to keep seeing conservative governments. So we need to, proportional representation is the only reset button that we have. It's the Star Wars equivalent of like when Princess Leia sent that message out in R2-D2.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like proportional representation is our only hope.
Yeah.
I
absolutely agree with you, and that just points up once again the absurdity of Elizabeth May's attack, because without inter-party cooperation, there's no future for her party. So it makes no sense. You know what I mean? And there's other things that make no sense either. Like, did you read the recent letter that Elizabeth May sent to the Queen?
I didn't read it. I know she did send a letter, and if I'm not correct, she was asking. Did it concern the questioning of the validity of the government?
Well, it asked the Queen to basically
form a royal commission
to investigate the last election.
Right.
So, I mean, this is the thing. It's an absurdity to ask a monarch to stand up for democracy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She did have to say that she was her Queen's loyal subject.
I can read the ending to you. It made me barf. I have the... yeah. I will, by copy of this letter, share these concerns and requests with the Governor-General of Canada. I request that Your Majesty please seek a resolution which will benefit all Canadians by restoring Canadians' confidence that we can have a free and fair democracy. I have the honor to be, Madam, Your Majesty's humble and obedient servant, Elizabeth May, Officer of the Order of Canada, Leader of the Green Party of Canada, Member of Parliament, Saanich, Gulf Islands. That's the ending of her letter.
Wow.
Yeah, anyway. But the whole point of the matter is, the whole point of writing this letter is to get attention, to generate media attention for her fighting for democracy by appealing to the absolute power of a monarch. Can you can you step in here and
could you
use your power
with this democracy?
Yeah, use your power over us to enforce democracy? I don't know. It's an absurdity, and I mean, not that I object to the idea of her pointing out the manipulation of the last election.
If it comes to bear some fruit, I mean, great, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Now, this is the thing. I would not want the Queen to step into that. That would not restore my faith in democracy whatsoever. But I do understand that Elizabeth May, being one seat in Parliament, being does extraordinary things to get attention.
In fairness to looking at it outside just a political strategy, it is still fair for her to appeal to the Queen, because technically the Queen is still the figurehead of Canada, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that it's absurd in its own right. It's kind of curious, I would say, in the nature of that. It's asking a monarch to look into whether an election was fraudulent or not, But ultimately, if it's a tool that can be brought to bear against Stephen Harper, I have a hard time disagreeing with it ultimately. But,
yeah, like it or not, exactly. I like the way you said it. Like it or not, she is our head of state, right? And what did Pierre Trudeau do to her the one time there? Either did he flip her the bird or pirouette in front of her or something?
It was a pirouette, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was cool. It was like, hey, how's it going, head of state? I'm
I hear you rule the country.
Yeah, I hear that you supposedly rule our country, and I just like to flip you off a bit by doing this pirouette. And by the way, we're repatriating our constitution, or patriating our constitution. We're going to be our own country.
I support removing the monarchy.
Me too. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. But my whole point in bringing that fact up was because Elizabeth May does have to do things to get attention, right? And that's politically, on one hand, it's smart. On the other hand, when you make the enemies out of the people that are the only people that can help the future of your party by cooperating and getting proportional representation, you're really screwing up. That's my thing.
Not only shooting yourself in your foot, you cut your leg off, then shot yourself in the foot. Yeah,
and then in conclusion, I'd just like to say, this is different than what Justin Trudeau did in his speech.
Right, he was branding himself as saying, I'm running for the Liberal Party. Yeah. That's different than piling on in Parliament.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and also, other than now that I've vented about this, again, I mean, I did do a lot of venting when it happened, but it wasn't in the context of this show. I would like to say that the Green Party, it sure would be handy to have some form of cooperation from them, or to have some strategic voting or anything, and I do support proportional representation. I do think that the Green Party should have more seats, somewhat in proportion to the support popular support they have in the country. Now, do you want to go to a track here? And come back
and when I come back, I just I want to point out one more curious point on this whole issue as well, and then maybe we can move to something